Kicking off our list at number 10, dental surgery. Back in the ancient Egyptian world, it's not like you could just take a quick trip to the dentist to get your teeth checked out and cleaned, yada yada, and then you go home, whatever, right? The diet of the average Egyptian was most definitely not exactly, conductive to having an impeccable set of pearly whites. That's mostly due to the fact that the tools used to grind food would often leave traces of sand and or stone behind, which would naturally destroy your chiclets. And through documents found, there have been a few different dental treatments from that time that have been discovered, and it's pretty horrifying, like topical treatments and such. But one case was able to give us a glimpse into what is believed to be the treatment of an abscess, an ancient abscess. We love those. Even more interesting is a mummy that was found from the 4th dynasty. This mummy, in his first molar, was a bunch of surgically produced holes that they believe were used to drain an abscess, which clearly gives us some, very tangible evidence that dental surgeries were in fact happening all those years ago. And before we head into the rest of this list, we also have to remember that all this was done, or most of this was done, without anesthetics, right? No one's gonna put you to sleep and then you wake up and you're like, oh, my teeth are gone, what happened? No, you were awake for the whole thing. It sucked. Number 9, Egyptian stitches. Yeah, gotta talk about Egyptians once again. I'm gonna talk about them quite a bit. They're the OGs. Just in general, while surgery did exist during ancient Egyptian times, invasive surgery wasn't quite as common because, well, obviously, like I just said, no painkillers, no antibiotics, the list goes on, right? No fun. One thing that's less invasive but still extremely important was seen quite a bit during these times. Use of stitches. Yeah, I've never needed any in my life, thank God, knock on wood that I don't need any stitches. Ancient Egyptians found different and effective ways to make their own sutures in order to close these large wounds. They did so by using plant fibers or hair or tendons or wool threads, anything, right? In the oldest known surgical text, which is referred to now as the Edwin Smith Papyrus that came from ancient Egypt, there are 48 different cases of stitches being described. 48, imagine being one of those 48. That's kind of epic, not gonna lie. Number 8, blood transfusion. Back around 70 AD, the Romans were pretty wild when it came to the Colosseum and the games that would go on inside. There was, a lot of bloodshed, and crowds would rush the arena after the day was done. Not to get autographs, but to hopefully get a sip of that sweet gladiator blood. Yeah, blood back then was a magical elixir. And then near the early 1500s, blood was seen as this youth juice. Yeah, you drink some young blood as an elderly, and then those knees, your patellas, would apparently start working again. A lot of theories surrounding blood back then. And in the Middle Ages, bloodletting was a go-to when you were sick because they thought your humors were out of balance. It is so hot in this goddamn room. In 1628, blood circulation was discovered by a man named William Harvey. That changed the game, right? Now, the idea of something going into your bloodstream was in the picture hypothetically. That's a little odd. So we started to test this out on canines. Scientists were injecting them with different substances, and slowly but surely, that turned into blood transfusion between animals, between canines. So this is back in the 1660s, right? That's how early we started injecting things with blood. It's kind of gross.
Number 7, Landon Jones. It is rare for anyone to be able to resist the French fry. Everyone has that friend that says, no, I don't want McDonald's, like I don't want any. And then you order some and they always are just like, are your French fries? And you're like, get out of here, those are mine. Anyways, that would be me. Well, Landon Jones may be the only person who would be able to resist. On October 14th, 2013, the preteen Landon Jones woke up with a bacterial infection in his left lung, which was treated successfully, or so they thought. Landon lost his appetite entirely. This boy is literally never hungry. His parents have to bargain with him to eat, but unfortunately he keeps losing weight. After visiting specialist after specialist, the only thing doctors have been able to determine is that Landon may be the only one of his kind, which doesn't make it very helpful. There are no other cases like this in the world. Landon did start having absent seizures 3 years prior, which could provide some hint as to what is going on. The leading explanation is that it is a rare condition that affects the hypothalamus, the tiny area of the brain that controls hunger, thirst, blood pressure, and sleep. I wasn't able to find any recent articles referring to his progress now, but I hope, Landon, that wherever you are, that you are doing much better. Number 6, a water allergy. A human being can only survive without water for around 3 days, so this medical condition is definitely surprising. How can we be allergic to something we need to survive? The condition, while still a mystery, has a name: aquagenic urticaria, and affects less than 100 people across the world. Whenever someone with this condition comes in contact with water, they break out in hives and rashes that last around an hour, and researchers have no idea what the underlying cause is. The leading theory is that it is caused by allergens in the water, so patients are encouraged to drink purified water or bathe in purified water as well. But beyond that, they have no clue. Due to the rarity of the condition, there is very little data to study, but I think we can all be grateful it isn't common either. Number 5. Mandy Sellers. When Mandy was born, she appeared to be a healthy child until she started growing. Despite having a very lean frame, Mandy's legs alone weigh 200 pounds, 5 times the normal size. She was a medical mystery doctors had no idea how to solve. The only way they could foresee stopping the growth of her legs was amputation. This procedure eventually happened in 2010 when she developed an infection. Even stranger though, this didn't stop the condition at all, as the leg started growing back. Imagine how frustrating that would be. Fortunately though, according to Mandy's website, she was able to go on an experimental new drug that helped to shrink her legs. Then finally, after years of suffering, she was able to be officially diagnosed. Mandy's condition is the result of a mutation of the PIK3CA gene, the only one of its kind, something she's pretty proud of. Still, doctors have yet to come up with a more effective treatment. As of 2019, she is still waiting for a new drug trial, and her legs appear to be kind of plateauing, so who knows where she's at now, but Mandy, I hope you're doing better. Number 4. Spontaneous accent. What do you mean? Nobody does that on this channel. Anyways, shut up, Rachel. God. Imagine waking up one morning and finally having the accent you've always wanted. I'm sure there is someone out there who wishes for that. But Rosemary Dorr wasn't one of them. Southern Ontario-based Rosemary Dorr immediately rushed to the hospital in 2006 after sensing signs of a stroke. She ended up spending most of that summer in post-stroke care, but what was very strange was her recovery. Rosemary took on an entirely new accent. Her Southern Ontario dialect became that of Newfoundland, and if you live in Canada, you know how different those accents are. She couldn't shake it. Rosemary was suffering from a real condition called foreign accent syndrome. It's a thing! Only 60 other cases have ever been confirmed worldwide. The first known was a Norwegian woman during World War II who started speaking with a German accent after a head injury. Very, very poor timing. The exact cause is still unknown, but you know, hopefully Rosemary's learned to live with that. It's a pretty fun accent. Number 3. The girl who cries stone. From a magic spell to a witch's curse, this little girl from Yemen shocked doctors and mystics with her strange ability. Sadia started literally crying stone since she was 8 years old, and no one can sort out why. Her father was desperate to find a treatment, and despite many x-rays in local clinics, nothing out of the ordinary was spotted. Most of the stones came out in the afternoon, weirdly enough, and she can produce as many as 100 in a single day. Thankfully, they do not hurt her, and for the most part, her life is normal. Since her case, one other woman in Bajal experienced similar symptoms, except this time they were accompanied by bouts of unconsciousness and a swollen abdomen. She has since been treated and recovered fully, but as to what is wrong with Sadia, no one is quite sure. Number 2. Brooke Greenberg. Sadly, Brooke passed away at the young age of 20 before she ever found the explanation for her condition. However, there is a chance that she might never have been aware of it. Brooke's body refused to age, and at the time of her death, she had never learned to speak and had the mental capacity of a toddler and remained the size of a baby. As an actual baby, her survival was considered a miracle in itself, as she endured a stroke and several stomach ulcers. She also mysteriously had a brain tumor that put her into a deep sleep for 2 weeks. Then it disappeared and she woke up. Kinda weird, right? By age 16, she hadn't lost her baby teeth, though her bones had appeared to have aged, just not grown. Her case was enough to bring retired medical expert Richard F. Walker back to the field. In fact, he has made it his life's work to uncover what caused her condition. Her case has since been labeled Syndrome X, and he continues to study similar patients. He believes that if they solve it, they will not only help these people, but perhaps discover the key to the fountain of youth. And last but not least, a superhuman memory. If I were to have a superpower, I would either want teleportation or superhuman intelligence. I think about that every single day. So the mysterious condition that Jill Price has me like green with envy. God, oh, what I would do, the books I would read. Jill can name every single detail of every day she's ever lived. Give her a date and she could tell you everything she did with ease, from like how many stirs she stirred her coffee with to like what she read that morning, every single thing. Her condition is called HSAM, highly autobiographical memory, and why people like her seem to have this superhuman ability is a complete mystery. Brain images have depicted differences in the structure of their brains to muggles like us, but it can't be confirmed as to whether it is these brain differences that cause the condition. Oh man, but if they could patent that into like a super juice or a kind of coffee, I'd be so happy. I'd be just very, very excited about that, because good God, dreams to life, you know what I mean?
When prescribed this medicine, you'd probably ask yourself, will I stay or will I go? This article from 1899 reports on a hotel in Australia where you could go for rheumatoid arthritis treatments. What makes it so special, you may ask? What will you get at this supposed Airbnb to earn a 5-star from you? Well, the so-called treatment at the so-called hotel could only happen whenever a nearby whale died. A bunch of dudes on boats would go up to the floating whale, bring her closer to the coast for easier corpse access, and then dig coffin-sized holes into its body. Why? Oh, you know, so patients could be rowed up to the whale and cozy on into one of the carcass coffin holes for a couple hours. This process allegedly relieves soreness and inflammation of extreme arthritis cases. But what may be the best part is the treatment was reportedly to be discovered by a drunken man who was staggering along the beach near the whaling station of Twofold Bay, and who, seeing a dead whale cut open, took a header into the decomposing blubber. And to follow up on decomposing animal medicine, let's do some more decomposing animal medicine. Chinese baby mouse wine. Yes, you heard me correctly. However, it's not only being found in China, having spread to Korea, Kazakhstan, and a few other of the Asiatic countries. Can't swallow a tequila worm? Imagine accidentally chugging down a small mammal. Whoops, haha, just gotta go puke my entire body out of my nose really quick. But apparently this potent health tonic is said to combat anything from asthma to liver disease. In order to make the concoction, you'll need between 10 and 15 baby mice, no more than 2 or 3 days old before their demise. Apparently, their death age is super important for the quality of the wine, as is the fact baby mice should be furless and have their eyes closed. After which, the recipe states that the mouse body should be submerged in rice wine and left to ferment for a period of 12 to 14 months before the drink is ready to consume. Although in ancient tradition, baby mice wine has few fans due to the reminiscent taste of raw gasoline, but its ethical record isn't exactly squeaky clean either. Ancient India brought us couching, the ancient practice of sitting on your ass. In reality, the couching I'm referring to would have you on the edge of your seat, not kicking back in it. A leading cause of blindness worldwide is cataracts, which affect 24 million Americans aged 40 and over. Ancient Indians developed the first documented treatment for cataracts called couching. It's first documented back in the 6th century BC by the surgeon Shushruta, who had learned from ancient Egyptian experiments with cataracts. Over the years, the procedure was later used by the Greeks, Romans, Ottomans, and Europeans. During couching, physicians punctured the eye and manually dislodged and removed its cloudy lens. The result was the patient is only able to see movement or basic shapes, now though the cloudiness is gone. Unsurprisingly, this method often led to complications and not the intended outcome. You know, blindness can be a thing if you're jamming unsterilized crap in people's eyes without any formal training. In the mid-1700s, credited with revolutionizing cataract surgery, Frenchman Jacques Daviel made a major advancement when using a knife, blunted needle, and spatula, and he extracted the cataract through an incision in the cornea, the first ever ECCE procedure. Don't worry guys, it's only getting more gnarly from here.
Number 7, Labotomy. Hello there, lobotomite. What brings you to the big empty? Follow New Vegas reference, anyone? Gotta have a little fun in this list. We're talking about some weird stuff. Gotta have some fun. Well, yes, lobotomies. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe not, most likely. But basically, it's a surgical procedure that severs most connections of the prefrontal cortex. If that sounds like a really bad idea, that's because it is. It was meant to help mentally ill patients, the truly disturbed, or sometimes even people who didn't really need one and rather just needed better medical attention, but we just didn't know any better back then. There was some success with this awful surgery, but more often than not, it led to worse side effects, and well, if you've ever seen Shutter Island, then you know what I'm talking about. Is it better to live as a monster or die as a good man? Number 6, the Lindberg Operation. Okay, imagine going in for a surgery that's going to make you live better. But you have to wait a while, and you worry about that day for months. You think about loved ones, what your life has been, and what it will be afterwards. Finally, the day approaches, and now your bum is hanging out a hospital gown. The doctors try to relax you as the surgery is about to commence. That's when they roll in this machine with arms, and they tell you that the surgery is going to be completed by a robot controlled by some doctors in New York. You're miles away from that. Well, that sounds scary, but it's true. This actually happened. And what may be the first transatlantic surgery. It's actually pretty cool and could possibly lead to some more life-saving surgeries in the future. That's a pretty cool thing. They had a robot that cut a lady open, took her gallbladder out. It's a crazy thing. Look that one up. It's actually really cool. Number 5, Trepanation. Neil Armstrong, Henry Ford, and the first time I ate McDonald's. All of these events and people are responsible for great first moments in history. First man on the moon, first assembly line, and the first time I knew I was in love. Love me some of that clown beef. Delicious. Anyway, what I'm talking about is what is thought to be the first medical surgical procedure, trepanation, which dates back all the way back to our caveman days, ooga booga. Basically, when there was something wrong with you, the solution was to drill into your scalp until you saw gray matter, and that should release all your pain and pressure and suffering and whatever ails you, sir. Okay. Skulls have been found dating back to 6500 BC, as well as paintings that seem to describe the process. Boy, I need that like a hole in the head. That's a hole in the head? Good.
Nice one.
Anyway, number 4, palm lines. Okay, getting into the really weird stuff here. Everyone at home, I want you to look at your palms. See those lines? Yeah, those lines in your hand. Yeah, they have a reason to be there. Or so the astrologer who charges $75 an hour from me down the street told me so. Money line, love line. Look, I'm not gonna pretend I know how it works. I'm just a guy trying to be Canada's next biggest comedy star. Hi. However, some folks really go for the whole astrology and healing crystal business. As a result, there's a cosmetic surgery to have the lines on your hand redrawn, if that makes any sense. Wow, okay. I guess to change your fate? Listen, I'm no Confucius, but your fate is decided by you, not an intrusive cosmetic surgery that's gonna make your money line smaller. Right? Number 3, Hylian ear job. Hey, look, no judgment here. I am a person just like everyone else. I got likes, dislikes, loves, hates. I am a big fan of the Legend of Zelda series. You weren't expecting that one, baby! Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild. How's that for Breath of the Wild, Icarus? Who's at the center of these games? Link and Zelda, 2 elfish-like humans who possess the power of the Triforce. Or Hylians, technically. Nerds, I know, I'm sorry. Well, apparently the elf ear look is so desirable that the urge to hi-ya across your favorite patch of open grass is so strong that some folks are willing to have their ears cropped in order to look like Link permanently. I'm just using Link as an example because there's tons of creatures from other lore that have the same sort of features in the pointy ears, but regardless, removing and reshaping cartilage to achieve that elvish style is a strange one. Number 2, tongue splitting. Alright, you know what this one is, but it's just crazy to me. Tongue bifurcation is done by splitting the tongue. However, I just learned that it's not permanent, so just in case you grow out of your rebellious youth in your late 20s, then not all is lost, my friends. Kinda nice. Some want a certain look. Others do it because, well, it's for the super fun naughty bedroom time. Usually done with a hot scalpel to prevent bleeding, and then the cut sides are sewn and stitched. I don't think there's enough money on earth to have that done to me. I can't. I get a little, you know, it's just not good for, oh. Number 1, conjoined twin separation. This one always fascinated me, still does. It's such an unusual experience and actually pretty rare, but it happens nonetheless. Conjoined twins develop when an early embryo only partially separates to form 2 individuals. Although 2 fetuses will develop from this embryo, they will remain physically connected, most often at the chest, abdomen, or the pelvis. It makes everyday life challenging, and those who don't live like this very curious on how everyday things work. However, in a modern time, there's been great efforts to separate these twins. Every situation is different, and some simply just don't qualify because there are too many vital organs that are shared. However, I think it's amazing. It's a feat of medical science and technology to give people the life that they deserve. To any doctor that's ever pulled this off, thank you. You're amazing. 70% of them are female. I learned that too right before I came in. 70% of conjoined twins are female and the rest are male, which is a weird stat. That's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Number 10 is chloroform the hiccups away. Nowadays we know a nasty case of hiccups is curable by just holding your breath or chugging a bunch of water. But if this was 1899, you'd be prescribed chloroform. Known by many as the mysterious liquid on the rag placed over someone's face to make them faint in many period pieces or cartoons, chloroform gained popularity after Queen Victoria demanded its usage during her labor in 1853, after having been denied it in her previous labors. By taking these lengths to reduce the annoyance of hiccups, your vital organs may pay a steep price. Chloroform has the potential to damage the nervous system, lungs, and trachea, as well as the liver and kidney when exposed long term. This is just one of many medical remedies that we'll be covering from the first Merrick Manual of Diagnosis and Therapy, the oldest continuously published English language medical textbook. All the quack treatments in our list today used to be found in this mass encyclopedia. For instance, number 9 in our countdown is smoke inhalation for asthma and other lung conditions. This may be one of the more counterintuitive remedies on our list, as it's easy to see now that smoke is not beneficial for asthma at all. Through the late 19th and into the next, however, inhaling smoke or smoke, as well as stramonium, a hallucination-inducing nightshade, as well as lobelia, known for its sedative properties, were popular treatments for asthmatics. Asthma is caused when your airways can narrow or swell while producing excess mucus. Smoking, meanwhile, has been shown to eventually reduce the number of cilia, the lungs' filaments which help transport mucus into the lungs, which only leads to the worsening of asthma symptoms. This wasn't the only weird tobacco smoke belief, however. In 1872, an English newspaper talked of tobacco smoke enemas, which even reported that hundreds of lives might have been spared by the tobacco smoke enema. Okay. Weird enough. Plasters, no, not the British word for band-aids, is number 8. This medical treatment was said to have sucked the badness out of a person. They were like a nicotine patch made up of a thin layer sheet of wax as well as leather, and it was able to stick onto the skin. In the wax there were remedies such as lead, opium, frankincense, tobacco, etc. This mix would be applied while still warm to ensure the adhesion of the plaster. Plasters were sold to anyone of any age and came in many different shapes and sizes so that they may be applied to different areas. What were they used for? Everything. Cough, cold, period pain, organ failure, alcoholism, headache, the list can go on forever. Seeing as they wanted the patch to pull as much badness from the body as possible, these patches could be left on for 2 days to 2 weeks to forever. Without washing, of course. Naturally, these patches trapped in a lot of moisture that could cause infections, blisters, rashes, and hives underneath, especially once the patch is removed and the skin is finally exposed to air.
Number 7. Cataract surgery.